Welcome to How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast, a mix of both solo episodes and expert interviews. Our ideal listener is an early career, ambitious, and passionate online language services provider. She is committed to professional growth and achieving success in the fiercely competitive translation and interpreting industry. She balances multiple responsibilities with resourcefulness, values mentorship, is open to learning, and investing in her professional development journey. She embraces technology and seeks to optimize workflow, eager to connect with like-minded peers and build out her professional network. She is determined to overcome challenges and become a sought-after freelance translator. And here's your host, medical translator and translator business mentor, Jason Willis-Lee.
And welcome to another episode of How to Find More Direct Clients, a podcast hosted by myself, Jason Willis-Lee. This is the show to tune into that makes digital marketing easier and more fun using the perfect combo and just the right dose of business strategy and tech. I'm your host, Jason Willis-Lee. I'm a digital marketing specialist. And today I'm so thrilled to welcome my friend and colleague, John Di Rico. John is experienced in freelance translation and entrepreneurship, and he therefore brings a unique perspective to our discussion. John, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks, Jason. I'm doing great. Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you for accepting my invite. So just as an icebreaker, can you tell us about your journey in the industry I know you've worked closely with WordFast for many years, and you are an entrepreneur on the side. Tell us about your unique vision for the future of our industry. How's it been going these last few
The
years?
journey started like many people, I think, not in the translation profession, but as a teacher, and getting asked to do a lot of translation. And I decided I really like translation more than I like teaching. So from one day to the next, I decided I was going to be a translator. And so I started a business in 2005, quickly realized that I needed to use the right tools of this profession. So I started learning about CAT tools and stumbled upon WordFast. Was very pleased with its simplicity, ease of use, the user community, the contact that you had with the developer at the time, Yves Champollion, who was constantly upgrading the tool and fixing things and listening to people. Started offering training to several colleagues. I think I've trained about 1,000 translators all around the world.
Wow.
Several countries, and my business grew, and then in parallel I started getting closer and closer to work with WordFast, where eventually they hired me to do sales and marketing. What I really liked about that is they also let me continue to do my work as a translator and as a very niche boutique translation agency. I have some clients whose needs exceed my capacity for translation, not only in just what I can do as a human translator, but also in the languages that they needed to cover. So WordFast allowed me to do that, which was really great, because then I could market and sell a tool, but really understand it fully, understand it from the perspective of a translator, understand it from the perspective of a translation agency owner, a project manager, and so on. So, and then now we are 2024. I hope that was kind of short enough. 2024, and I'm actually just going through a change, moving from WordFast to a new not a new company, but a different company called WordBee, which makes an all-in-one cloud-based translation management system and CAT tool combined.
That's my first question. So I last saw you at the Sitges WordFast Forward conference. You very kindly invited me to that event, and it was local for me, so I just hopped over on the train. That was an amazing event. So you told me during that event you're leaving. Could you tell me the reasons for the change and your change in duties for each company? WordFast, you're on the sales side. Are you now more on the translation, the TMS side of the industry? What kind of reasons did you change?
The changes, after a while, after about 10 years in a place, you get a little bit complacent in a very, very comfortable comfort zone, right? And one time somebody said something really interesting in a training: when you're in your comfort zone is where you consume value. When you get outside of your comfort zone is where you create value. So it's challenging, of course, and it's frightening, but I think I needed that change now. So I decided to leave and move on. Another opportunity presented itself. I had been asked in the past by some other companies to change to them, and I really wasn't ready for that change at that time. And so now I think was the right time to make a move and try something else. Also, I think the needs of my company were growing as well, like, because I'm continuing to do this translation activity,
Yep.
and they were kind of outgrowing the WordFast solutions that I was selling and wanted to be able to offer to my direct clients.
So you'll continue to work as a certified translator. That's your alter ego. Tell us more about that aspect of your professional activity. What kind of clients is it? Personal, individual
Oh,
clients, certificates?
In France, you have this idea or this concept of a sworn translator who can provide certified translations,
Yep.
the translations that are primarily for the courts and the police and the justice system in general. And so you become a court appointed translator by submitting an application, and you have to have master's degree in translation interpretation. You have to have years of experience, and then you have to follow certain trainings, and you get appointed to do this. So I get called in, and when I do this, also, a really important part of that is that you want to be of service to the administration of justice in France, which is really a great opportunity, and I really like and appreciate to be able to go in and help with the administration of justice. There are people who don't understand the system, who don't speak the language on both sides, and so making sure that everybody understands what's going on. So I'll go in and interpret for the police sometimes when they have a suspect in custody, or when they're taking somebody's statement. I'll go into the court when somebody has a hearing. Lots of different, got called in for interpretation a little bit, and then also have to do some translations for not only the courts, but also in the private sector for notaries and individuals who need official sworn translations of documents like birth certificates.
So you're actually a sworn translator. You're a traducteur sermenté. Is that what it's called
Yeah,
in
yeah.
France? Yeah, got it.
But it's a small part of my activity, and it's really not, you're not supposed to make a living out of it. It's not meant to be, a full-time professional thing. It should be, have other job or profession, employment,
Yeah.
or you're a full-time translator and you've got other clients, and that's how you make, most of your money. And this is more of an accessory type thing. The main purpose is to be of service to the courts and to the justice system.
Got it. Let's move on to AI and large language models, which are obviously part of AI. How has AI and LLMs, this revolution, this Armageddon almost, changed the way that CAT tools like WordFast and TMS markets are operating in our industry? How has that changed from your perspective and your experience?
I mean, from my perspective, and the paradigm shift is we've been working on a model that's been segmentation, in a sentence level segmentation. This is probably the first thing that comes to mind, by the way.
Yeah.
So segmentation, and these large language models work with content. Wait, I'm going to get this wrong, and Michael Farrell's going to get upset at me. They work with cotext, right? The cotext is what's surrounding each of these segments. And if you're breaking things down and sending it one by one, segment by segment, it doesn't really get that context. So interestingly enough, one of the first things that we got to do is say, we got to get out of this model of breaking our text into segments, and maybe move to a paragraph, and maybe even run the entire text through the model first, which is something, WordFast, one of our tools, we did that, and look at the results, run it through an AI model first, build a temporary in the background translation memory based on the results of, when it was run, and then serve that up as opposed to sending segments one by one. So that's already, like, I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing is approaching it, there's so many different applications. I was watching a demo of WordScope the other day, and just looking at, I don't know if you're familiar with that tool, and looking at how they've really run with the AI and look at all the different ways you can apply it to your translation process. And I was really impressed. And I think that's coming in all sorts of tools. Okay, it's not, you used to have concordance search where you look for a word. Well, now it's going to be concordance search on steroids. You know, you can send into AI and ask them all sorts of questions with just simple shortcut keys and without having to copy and paste everywhere and go all over the place.
And the name of this tool is WordScope. Is that the name of the company as
Word,
well?
WordScope is
Yeah.
they make a CAT tool. I just saw their webinar online the other day. Yeah.
Okay, WordScope. Yeah, you mentioned Mike Fowler. I had a very interesting conversation with Michael about the term temperature. Temperature is used in large language models to gauge the predictability of the next word. I mean, this is a thing that just goes word by word, right? The more it's programmed and prompted, the better output you get. So, and then I just came across this concept in a book I'm reading at the moment. It's called Lean Marketing. If anyone wants to read it, it's by a guy called Alan Dibb, an Australian entrepreneur, Lean Marketing. And I'll put a link to all these things in the show notes, WordScope, the book. And it's basically to do with the predictability of the next word. You can raise or lower the temperature of the large language model. So that was an interesting conversation I had at John's conference, and that later popped up in a book a few days later. So very, very relevant. Let's look at translation entrepreneurship. Where do you see the future of solopreneurs, heading? Given this integration of AI technologies, a lot of people are running scared. For me, I think it does do a lot of distraction, but it also creates opportunities. So I think we have to focus laser in on the opportunities rather than the negative side of this. What advice would you give to aspiring solopreneurs looking to enter the industry? So you and me, like 20 years ago, guys in their early 20s, finishing college, trying to find their first job. What kind of advice would you give these guys?
My advice,
Girls?
this is really simple. I mean, this is the same advice that I gave people 10 years ago when I was at a translation conference, and I heard it from other people that machine translation isn't going to replace translators, but translators using machine translation are going to replace the translators who are not. And the same advice would have been given 10 years before that, that the translators who are, using CAT tools are going to replace those who aren't. And then before that, it was ones who were using computers instead of typewriters, et cetera. So now we're at the stage where the translators who are using AI are going to replace the ones who aren't. So you have to really be on the forefront of the tools, the technology that is going to help us be more productive and do our jobs better. And the other advice that kind of goes along with that is, I think it was Abe Lincoln. He said, if I got to go cut down a tree, I'll spend 4 hours sharpening my axe before I go. And if instead of going with a dull axe. So, hone up your skills and learn all these things. It's worth the investment, and it'll pay off because you'll be more productive, you'll be faster, you'll be providing better quality of work, you'll be meeting the needs of your clients better and better equipped to solve their problems, because their problems are going to get more and more complex. So you have to, adopt and learn the tools that are going to help solve those complex problems.
Let's move in.
The big thing, tools and training.
Tools and training. Yeah, that's great advice. Tools and training. Okay, let's move into the final 5 questions. We ask all our guests these questions. Number 1, what would you rather have in your toolkit? Gills to breathe underwater or wings to fly? And why?
Gills to breathe. I think the ocean is like a vast underexplored area. I'm a very curious person by nature. I've flown a plane before when I was 16 years old, went up. I've been paragliding. It's interesting, but it's not really my cup of tea. So going undersea and discovering the underwater world would be preferable.
Could you give us one productivity tool or tip that you just can't live without? Something essential in terms of productivity?
Productivity tool or tip. Learn your shortcut keys. Maybe goes back 10 years. Researcher, John, what's his last name? I can't remember right now. It'll come to me probably right after this, but he did a lot of research on MT and productivity with CAT tools, and basically discovered that the most productive translators were the ones who knew how to use shortcut keys. It didn't matter if they had like MT or whatever. I mean, of course, it was the ones who knew shortcut keys with MT, but that's a big thing. Until we move away from, we have that other paradigm shift where we're just talking into computers and correcting things with our eyes. Knowing your keyboard shortcuts is really
Shortcut keys is a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Third final five. What's the biggest myth that people believe when it comes to CAT tools in general and maybe WordFast in specifically? What's the biggest myth? Do people think that they can just leverage this thing more than over leverage it, or what is
biggest
something?
myth is that it should be as easy as taking an iPhone and using it to make calls and whatever. Okay, it's great to make tools that are super simple, all for it, and we need to decomplexify as much as possible, but we're professionals and we should expect to have to do training and learn how to use these tools, and you really need to invest the time, and you can't just kind of log in and run with it. So that's, I think, and a lot of people get discouraged because they don't really make it over that learning curve, and they
Yep.
just abandon it, and that's kind of, so I would say don't get discouraged, seek help, invest in training, find the right people who can help you, pay them, and that'll pay off, tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. I can't even, it's probably in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of fold that's paid off for me of knowing how to use my tool the right way when the request from the client came in. So
What's the best business advice you've ever received from a mentor, or maybe you've given someone else?
I usually say that one of the best business advice, I wouldn't say it's business advice, but I think one of the most useful things in my the trainings that I ever went to was a sales training, and that was done when I did my master's degree in translation and localization management at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies. And that
That's in
was run by
Monterey, California, right?
Monterey. Yeah, it was run by John Ritzdorf, who's an amazing instructor and has done, I think he still does this course on customer-centric selling. So it was really an eye-opener about, you know, sales is not something that's mystic and you can't do it. Like, people are innately born with these skills. Like, you can actually get books and learn about different methodologies
Yep.
and how you can better help your clients, how you can better help solve their problems if you know how to accompany them in their journey and find the right solutions for them. So I would say pick up a book on sales methodology, go to a training, it'll be worthwhile, especially if you're, in this entrepreneurial stage and you want to get more direct clients and you can poke a stick at.
Would
Like,
you credit that instructor as your instigation for going into sales? I mean, you've had a sales career the last 10 years. Was it down to
I was
him?
already doing sales, but I would say that my sales improved considerably, just my conversion and the success with the prospects that I had was considerably improved.
Okay, final question of the final five. Here we go. Using just one word only, how would you describe AI?
Soulless.
Soulless. Okay. Wow, that's pretty savage. Soulless. Okay, good. Where can
Okay.
listeners connect with you or learn more about your work and expertise? Where's the best way to connect with you?
I guess you could find me on LinkedIn and request. I must admit that I'm really busy and doing translation, doing things for the company, doing sales. I teach at the University of Strasbourg, so I tend not to spend too much time on social media, probably to
Mm-hmm.
my detriment, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty busy as it is, so I don't really want to attract more attention and whatever. So you won't find me posting left and right and on a daily basis.
Right.
Um, I do have a mailing list, and I do send out some information. I got a blog on the company's website, apextra.fr, where they can follow if they're interested in translation in general and the kind of the blog things that we're doing, um, certified translations, etc. So yeah, I'd say LinkedIn would probably be the best place to start.
Okay, LinkedIn. Yeah, I mean, you're a salaried employee for a company, so you know, I can appreciate you posting a bit less than I'm on these things more or less every day, more
Yeah,
or less every day.
which is good. I mean, I would fully encourage somebody, if you were full on, this is your primary activity, you're running your business, you need to be on there.
Yeah.
You need to have a plan, you need to be set up, be regular, be routine. Okay, if it's too much to be every day, make sure you once in a week and schedule that and get it done. So
Yeah, time block it, and being consistent is a key ingredient for success. Okay, let's wrap it up for today's episode of How to Find More Direct Clients. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions on the ever-evolving landscape of language and digital marketing. Until next time, stay on your game, and don't forget to future-proof your career in the AI translation era. Thanks from John, and thanks from me. See you next time.
thanks, Jason. Thanks everybody for listening.
Here's a fun fact about Jason. Jason was a professional chorister in a symphonic choir in Spain for a few seasons. Thanks for tuning in to the How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, why not head over to www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com to access all our tools and resources to monetize and future-proof your freelance translation business. And don't forget to hit the plus button in Apple Podcasts or iTunes, or subscribe in Spotify to be notified when new episodes drop. For regular tips and insights, business strategy, or marketing techniques straight to your inbox, please sign up at www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com.